Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Silent Sequester podcast, where I'm your host, Isaiah, and I'm here with my three lovely co-hosts, Chanel, Sasha, and Dylan, to speak about episode 1 of Sequester, season 4. We actually didn't do a cast reveal or anything, so this is going to be our very first stream on anything Sequester related, and we are very excited to get started. Real quick, how do you guys feel about the season so far?
Explosive.
Yeah, it came fast out of the gates. I was like a lot of other people a little scared with the 13-member cast, but I think it's perfect just because of how many big names there are.
Totally.
Agreed. And you know what? I already like this season better than last season.
Period.
As soon as they like rolled in with like all the camera shots and like all the graphics at the beginning, I was like, this is top tier. Like this production value is just like amazing. Like I'm really gonna enjoy watching this. It's just like nice like visuals for everyone, it's awesome.
It was definitely an upgrade, and I congratulate them for that at least.
Yeah. Killed it.
Audrey did a fantastic job with everything.
Yes.
Yeah. So let's actually just jump right into it. So the very first scene we actually get is Audrey actually talking about all these pre-history connections in regards to like the minis and people knowing each other. You got some people from like Survivor, like Sharon. You got Brent doing podcasts and all that. So it's a very interesting group of people. The first group of people we actually saw go in was Rachel, Brent, Moon, and Brent, and I thought fanboy. And Brent was a little nervous of him just because he knew who he was, but he just stuck with the plan. Muna gave off good vibes to everybody, and Brendan was actually just starting to offer deals early, like he was ready to be like a Tyler Crispin almost. He was scared that everyone knew who he was. How do you guys feel about this
vibe and everything?
Yeah, definitely.
I loved the first group. Yeah.
So the first group was, who was it again? It was Rachel, Brent. Who else?
Brendan and Muna.
Brendan's the long-eared one?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so I had good vibes overall. Like, obviously, like I'm a Muna stan. I'll always be a Muna stan.
I love her.
Period. So we had like Muna, Rachel. I think she gives off like this really like chill vibe. Like she's kind of going with the flow. Brent has this like chaotic like energy, like in the sense that he's just like kind of like just wants to talk to you, like it's in your face kind of talk, like he's just like that's how it is, and I mean that's not a problem, that's just like that's how it is.
It was a problem. It felt like for Rachel.
Oh,
right?
Rachel did not like vibe with that.
Rachel was not having it.
She did not vibe with that at all, and I think I'm like that too. Like I like my personal space.
Yeah.
So if someone's like coming to me because like that's how they can, I'm just like, oh. And I mean, I think he saw that later on, like, oh, maybe
right.
A little bit.
I'll tell you right now, Rachel's gonna be my girl this season. I really like her. My only concern for her is, and obviously you can't base how someone's gonna do in a battle match based off of their appearance, because look who won. But I'm worried that people might pick her for battle matches because she doesn't appear as a physical threat, but I'm hoping that she's got something going on up here as far as her capacity to win some challenges, because they're not all physical.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And on top of that, this is my question, like I kept going back and forth, honestly, during the episode, where for Rachel especially, like, does she know all the connections other people have? Because
I feel like she does.
Right? Okay, great. Yeah, because Muna and her had a really great moment during the safety chain, but I was like, oh, Rachel, like, do you understand, like, that they all know each other? And, this is kind of, like, it was a little hard to watch, which I'm sure we'll get into, but I really felt for, like, the newer people. So I agree, Dylan, that I'm wondering how that plays out. Is it that like they will pick each other off, like the big six, whatever they are, versus like pick off the newer people.
Yeah, totally. I think she knows the connection, so I don't think she knows how close some of them are.
Maybe that's what you're right.
As much as I love the mini people, and the mini people are all great and everything, to be honest with you, I'm rooting against them. I really want to see them go home. I think a lot of them are coming in here with big egos, not trying to come for any of you mini people.
It's like, excuse me?
I'm a mini person too, so but I'm really wanting to see how these newer people, even though I didn't even remember Natalie was in the episode, I'm wanting to see how these people play the game. I'm really looking forward to it.
And then there's Brendan too. I don't think we talked about him.
No.
At all. Yes.
I actually got good vibes off of Brendan as a player almost, just seeing him here. I mean, he obviously has like a mind for the game, and like his archetype, I mean, historically in games like this usually do well. I don't know if just the fact that people know who he is going to hurt him. But I mean, I got nothing but good vibes off of him just watching him play.
Yeah. So I played just like a random game with him. I think last week, and he just has this like really chill vibe, like like he kind of, it makes it seem like he's just like super chill and laid back, and people really trust him and stuff. But behind the scenes, you can see him like have those moments, and even throughout the episode where he's just like, he turns on his like strategy thing. Like at one point, I think he put his hair in like a ponytail or something. Like, oh, here's the strategy, Brendan. Like
it was his big brain ponytail.
Yeah, exactly. Like I think at one point, like at the beginning of our game, he was like coming at me, but then like later on, I was like, oh man, I really trust him. He's really chill. I was like, no, you're falling for it.
You got misted. Oh my god.
So he just has that vibe. Yeah, he really does. And he came in with that too. Like he was trying to like play that off too.
I liked his personality because he broke the fourth wall when he like looks at the camera and he's like, what?
Oh, he did do that.
So it's really interesting where he was like the first person. A lot of folks said it after him, but that we saw in the edit at least, to say, oh, I really have to change how I'm playing the game because everyone knows how I play the game. But then he was still, which I think worked in his favor, of course. But I still think, but then he went back to his original strategy of like that, like gift that everyone's floating around on Twitter with him doing the hands.
Fighting skills.
Yes. So I loved it. Like I like it. I hope, I agree with you, Isaiah, that I think this archetype definitely will get past a few eliminations at least, until if folks start putting the stories together, that might be the problem.
Brendan definitely has a few advantages coming in here. The first is that when you look at him, he appears to be a physical threat, and most of the time people will be afraid to pick you just because they'll perceive you as being strong in these challenges. But again, just because you look like a Greek god or you look like a athlete superstar does not mean you are truly a threat in these challenges. But another thing that goes in his advantage is that what did he say? He's a law student or something?
Law and accounting student.
Yeah.
Even with people knowing that, when they see him, they're not going to register that because he has the long hair, he has the goofy personality. They're not going to think about that. And when you talk to him, and I can tell through looking at the screen that people probably feel comfortable just talking with him, and that's a huge advantage. It's the reason why Tony and Sandra are the 2-time winners, because people felt comfortable with them. So he probably will last a decent amount, as long as he doesn't fuck himself like Jay West did. Yeah.
Oh my god.
Okay, so that's our feel on the first group. So the second group actually consisted of Mr. Jacob Jones, Josh, Shirin, and Natalie. We actually didn't get much from Shirin and Natalie at the start of the whole segment. I mean, we just knew Shirin just because she was a Survivor player. But Natalie didn't really speak as much. He just wasn't known that much in the community, but he was a fan of Brent. And then you just got Jacob, who instantly just saw people who he knew and like knew that he would have a good vibe off of, like Muna and Marcelo. So he just felt great about everything. So how do you guys feel about Jacob actually knowing people like Muna and Marcel and just feeling very, almost a little bit confident that he can have someone to rely on?
Yeah, I think Jacob's set up the best currently. And I think he said it best in one of his confessionals where he said, I'm actually set up so well that I'm okay with one of the people Katie, that I'm set up with in the Micro 3 alliance that they decided to have, that I'm okay with at least one person leaving. So I'm interested to see his arc, because I agree that Muna and Marcelo and him are probably top 3 currently, at least, in how everything's set up. So it's really interesting because I want to see how that shakes out. And will Marcelo being his number 1 and then Muna, being he being Muna's like number 1, how is that all gonna shake out? Or will it? Maybe it won't, but let's see. I'm interested for that.
Yeah, I just loved when they had like that nice little moment with like Muna and him, and it was like, oh, this is so sweet, the sweet music. I was like so emotional, and then they just cut to the scene with him and Marcelo, and he's like, oh no, Marcelo's my number 1. Just like, oh no. Oh no.
I think Muna knows though that if she would take him to the end, that it would be a pretty fierce battle to see who'd be the winner.
Oh yeah. She said that in her confessional too. And that's why I find it interesting, honestly, because I wanna the person that was talking the most was the person least into the conversation. So Muna talked a lot with Jacob, and then when Jacob and Marcelo, Jacob was doing a lot of the talking. So I want to know, I think Marcelo will take Jacob to the final, if like everything works out. But I just thought it was interesting. It's like, who's more into the relationship?
And I thought it was a little interesting here, because you do have Muna, who obviously has a really good strategic mind for the game. And then you have Jacob, who he has a strategic mind for a game, but it seems like he's trying to at least attempt not to play with his heart more, in comparison to Muna, who she wants to have that mentality. So I thought that dynamic was a little bit interesting. I'm sure we're going to talk about Marcelo when we talk about this next group, but I feel like him and Jacob aren't really seen as a duo in comparison to Jacob and Muna. So that connection right there is going to be very, very dangerous.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm just going to say that if these people let Jacob make it to the final after he coming into, exactly, like he's coming into this game as a 2-time winner, a known force with a lot of connections. People, that's why you need to do your research if you're going to go on this show. But if they let him get to the end, and I already know he's going to play a great game. I already know. So he would be my first target if I went in there. And it's wild to me that his name hasn't even come up yet.
Yeah, it's super. This always happens though. Like, and this is said in many games. Like, if you have a winner in a game, okay, and you just let that winner go by,
Chanel, be careful. Don't say that.
Forget everything I just said. Anyway, but you know what? Whatever. If he makes it, he makes it, and he wins. But it's just like you know what's gonna happen. And again, like Dylan said, you need to do your research. You need to know that he's a 2-time winner. You need to know how people play. You know what I mean? And if he makes it there, give him the crown. That's your own fault. That's your own fault. Yeah. Like, I know Marcelo and him are close or whatever, but if Marcelo was smart, he would make it think like, we're good, but really it's like, oh, for my game, you can't be here.
Exactly.
Or else I don't win.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So that's all.
And that's what's really interesting about having a smaller cast, right? I feel like you think about the end much quicker, like almost at day one, because it's only 13 people. So you kind of need to navigate quickly. But I will say, folks were like running to be in Jacob and Muna's graces. It's almost like
it was crazy.
Right? Where they were like these untouchables almost, to where we like, I need to, Muna said in a confessional where she was like, I feel like Oprah because everyone wants to be in an alliance with me. So I understand why. because I was trying to think what I would have done, and I think I would have done the same because they do have so many connections, but you have to sleep with one eye open.
Exactly.
With them.
I don't know. I ain't got no time for no fans.
Yeah.
I'm coming to watch people that want to play the game, that want to win the game. And especially if I'm playing, I'm there to win. I just spent all this money to fly to Georgia or wherever it's filmed.
Yeah, Georgia.
I want to win the $2,500.
Yes.
Like, I wasn't that big of a fan of oh my God. Is his name Josh? Josh.
Yeah, Josh.
Who went in the battle match. I wasn't a fan of him at first. In the episode, I was a fan. But at first, I wasn't, because he was like, I'm a Brent fan.
Oh, yeah. I thought it would be like some super fan thing. Like,
yes.
I don't got time for super fans.
It was an interesting first impression, which obviously quickly changed as the game went on. But it was just like, I was like, oh, no, not this.
Oh, my God. Can we talk about how Brent said, should I know you?
Yeah. He was like, I got out and I was like, oh, should I know you? And I'm like, oh, no.
Yeah. I'd be the same way. I'd be like, should I know who you are? Because honestly, if I went in there and I saw someone from my own mini, I probably wouldn't recognize them. Like,
yeah, but to be fair, like, there's a reason he's there, right? Like,
exactly.
Like, Audrey obviously has seen him in something for him to be there. Like, I don't think she's just gonna, put a flop in or whatever, right? So I was just like, I was curious about him to see like what he was gonna bring. So yeah.
Especially after last season, I think they definitely want folks that are going to play like
exactly
quick and and smart.
Bring it. Yeah.
That's why I'm happy that there isn't 20 people, because
I love a small cast.
We'll talk about the format when we get to that, but I like that there's less people, because I felt like with the last seasons that season 2 not so much, because there was so many great people from the start, but with season 3 I felt like the first 2 or 3 episodes was filler. And that's no shade, but it's just, so I'm happy with the smaller cast.
I agree.
All right, so we're going to also jump into group 3, which was actually the last group to come in, where we have Jay West, the official first returner to Sequester. Very big personality from the last season, so there wasn't really much to learn about him, but you know where he comes from and what he brings to the table. And then you have Spencer Brief, you have Billy CEO, you have Katie, and you have Marcelo. Spencer and Katie apparently had a little beef almost from a previous mini, and that was actually like pouring into this game a little bit. So it was almost like unfinished business over there.
Totally.
While you have Billy, who was a little bit more of a social gamer, definitely vibes with more so with like energies than anything.
Yeah.
And then we have Marcelo, like who we talked about with Jacob, had a pre-existing connection with Jacob. So this group was actually probably where a lot of the deal making started really starting. And it was very interesting to see things like mini connections actually being poured into the game, and there being a little animosity there.
Yeah, totally. I think with this group, I have a few faves just because I've either played with them or seen them play or like connect. So like Billy, right off the bat, like Billy has those vibes that you're just like, I want to chill with Billy. Like it's like, I don't even know you. I've never spoken to you my entire life, but let's be friends. You know what I mean? Marcelo, like his gameplay is so chaotic. Like I just want to be around that. I don't want to be part of it. I just want to be around it. Like you do your chaotic thing and I'm just going to sit here. I'm going to get my popcorn out. I'm going to watch as this unfolds. This is so good. And then with Katie, like Katie's just like this really bright, bubbly personality. But she's also like a spitfire, right? Like she's not afraid to make those moves. So that's like really, really cool. So those are kind of the 3 that I was kind of watching from that car.
Yeah. Billy reminds me a lot of her brother.
Yeah, Josh.
Who me and Isaiah got to play with the first time. Who robbed me from my title, but it's okay. He didn't. Jake Round did, but anyway. But I really enjoyed Billy from the beginning, and I do feel like Billy does have a long life set up in this game, not even because of the relationships, but because of her personality and her strategic awareness. So I'm very excited to see what she does throughout the season. Spencer, it just made me laugh how like played Spencer got in the episode. Like I kind of felt bad a little bit because it was just like round after round, like Jay West, like obviously there's a lot to talk about, but I was really hoping when I saw him on the cast, because I've heard so many great things about him, I was like, okay, hopefully he's learned his lesson from the first time. Like there's a reason why he would get a second chance. 1 out of 12 people that get like a second chance. So I was hoping that he would maybe fix some things that he made a mistake last time with, but not. Who else was in the group? Marcelo, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. I wasn't a fan of Marcelo. I don't know if I'm alone in that, but I wasn't really vibing with him, especially with like, I don't know. I get the feeling from him that he's going to be the kind of person that is great in the diary room, but maybe not so much in the house itself. Just from
it's also yeah, and I think what you're picking up on, rightfully so, is that he has his core, and that's kind of it for him.
Yes.
So I think that's where it's almost stemming from, because we aren't really seeing him. And I'm assuming it'll change. We've only seen 1 day or 2 days, but yeah, even when he got safety, right, he runs out of the room, which is like, he's suited in the best position because he like got it by chance. So why not? Which I know we'll get to
why
later.
Not use it?
Yeah, but it was really interesting. So I agree with you, Dylan, because and he called himself a snake. He said, "This is the kind of game I play." So don't snakes like want to be like cool with everyone and
exactly, and then just like
You know what? I was talking to my friend the other day about Big Brother audition tapes and like Survivor audition tapes, and one of the things that I got advice from my casting person, and I gave to her, was show it, don't tell it. Right now, he's telling us, not showing us. So when he shows us, then I'll become a fan.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Oh, and then there was Katie in that group too, right?
Katie, yeah.
Katie she reminds me of so many orgers that I've played with before, and like I just would not trust her. Like,
oh, definitely not. Like,
no.
Love her to pieces, but playing a game, I know if I'm like a big player playing with Katie, or like a player playing with Katie in general, like she'd probably just like throw us all under the bus to win, and that's fine.
Yeah,
that's why she's a beast.
When she got, well, we'll talk about that later, but she did in this episode throw a bunch of people under the bus, and it's just she doesn't. I think her problem is kind of where Brendan and some of those other people are benefiting. She's lacking. She doesn't exude trustworthy energy. Just from knowing her, like this is the first time I'm ever seeing anything about her. I don't really know about all the mini stuff, but just from seeing her for the first time, I was like, she doesn't come off as a trustworthy player, you know?
Yeah, I think that's
like almost she gave me the vibe that she was almost like a little bit like paranoid coming in.
Yes.
And I was like, oh, I don't know who Katie is. I mean, apparently she's a big figure, and the way she was portrayed in the intro, she is a well-known figure. So there's something there.
I think her mini's like a really popular one. I think the one that she was with Spencer. So yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's what Dylan, what you said is what Shirin said, right? Like she so it was interesting because I was noticing that too, where and I was trying to figure out for myself, like, is it because, she's a woman and playing hard versus like, which always goes under a different, unfortunately,
it does.
box. Yeah. But then again, I think folks did have the same energy for Josh and his LOS hunting. So
exactly. So I think in that instance, it wasn't that. It was that right out the gate, like, because it's still early. I mean, it's a small cast. Like it's 13 people. Like there's no like I'm going with the house. I'm doing this. Like we're going. Like this is full speed right from the beginning. And the like she was pushing Josh like a lot. And it's like why are you gonna push like such a weak player? Like not a weak player, because we know in the end he's not. But someone who like for something small, like looking for an LMS or whatever, like that's like you know, like the weaker move, right? Where you could like be like, let's take out someone big, let's get this going. Like, you know, we're playing now, you know what I mean? And you don't really know Josh too much either. So you don't really know his gameplay and you're just going to get, you know, try to get him out, you know? So she was just pushing a lot. And I think that was like kind of turning people off maybe.
I think what Isaiah said kind of rounds out why I got that impression from her. I think it was that she came into the game. So I don't know if it was Isaiah who said this, but it was, she came in so anxious. And I think she came in with so much anxiety and knowing who she wanted to target, maybe because she saw Spencer right off the bat. And when you're tense and you're anxious and you're like ready to play and like, oh, I don't try and not trusting anybody, that's what makes you come off as untrustworthy. And I think if she had came in more chill, happy, fun, then more like Billy did, for instance, I think more people would have been coming to her, wanting to work with her.
Yeah, totally. Like if I had done a mini like hers where she had thrown someone like Spencer under the bus, and then you see that person, it's like, are they going to rehash that in this game? Yeah. Like, so I would be in the exact same, like nervous, like, oh my gosh, how do I get myself out of this now? Because I don't know if I can trust that person, which it seems like Spencer's just like, whatever, let's just like play. But you know,
he said they've been on calls and stuff. So they've talked. Yeah.
Okay, so I just want to talk about, I guess, 2 events before we actually hop into the twist reveal for the first day. The first one was actually by someone who's actually in the chat, Mr. Josh Abbott, was the LOS searching, and little did he know that LOS, the way you receive LOSs is different this season, and nobody knows yet. So he's already searching for it like it's like Survivor, like he's looking for an idol. And then you have Shirin downstairs, who automatically just accidentally or purposely, I'm not sure, she just barked out, oh, he's looking for an LOS. And then he comes down and Jay West just makes it publicly known. I think this is Aaron number 1 by Jordan. Makes it known to Josh, his face, in the whole house, that he's willing to just like throw anybody out there. Yeah, how do you feel about that?
I thought that was hilarious. I was like, Shirin, what Shirin did is exactly what I would do.
Yeah.
Like, I would be like, oh.
Josh,
that would be exactly what I would do. I would just be like, oh, what's he doing? And then just like casually like have everyone's attention go that way, because like those like sly little moves no one ever notices, you know what I mean? But it like takes a target onto someone else or whatever. So that Shirin move, I feel like, is a classic move that I've done multiple times. I'll be like, oh, were you doing this thing? Oh, okay. Did you guys notice that? And then just walk away.
Exactly. Oh my god. And I'm so loud, so I definitely beat the Jay West of the group, where I think I'd just be like, oh my god, look what he's doing, to be like, oh, get the attention off of me. But I think, again, this is a moment where Jay West, more than maybe Shirin, could have used it to like build a bridge with Josh, because I'm not sure why they aren't, like, they, as in the bigger players, aren't really like, they need an arsenal. They need people to like vote with them. And I think Josh did that with Brent himself, right? He said, I know who you are. Like, I want to work with you. Brent rightfully was like, I think people are going to target him. But what Muna did with Rachel, right? Like, why aren't more people? I think Jay West, that would have been a great like bridge to say like, hey, I know you were doing this. Like, totally get it. That was me last season. Because if you saw the cut to LOS like intro package, it was Jay West like jumping into the pool to get the LOS.
We were just talking about that. We were talking about that at the party. We were like, wait, didn't he like go hard for this LOS?
Sasha is absolutely right. And that is why I think Jay West did lose, because when you're coming into this game specifically, where it's all about votes and not being picked into a battle match, and thankfully the votes are now secret for the most part, you're going to need, you know what, I like coming in, I'm Daenerys Targaryen, I'm going to round up my army and reclaim the Iron Throne. You need your army of people to vote with you, because as the numbers go down, every single vote, no matter how big of a personality they are, matters. And at the end of the day, that one vote could change it all. Look at last season. You have Zach, who is completely irrelevant. He made it to final 3. His vote was always there. You always needed it. So I think that was a big mistake of Jay West for throwing Josh under the bus for like entertainment value.
Yeah,
there
was
no other reason
of the grave that was dug.
It was good TV, but
it was good TV, 100%.
But that's where it ended. And
exactly.
All right. So we actually hop into the second event, which Muna actually kind of takes the narrative over here. She starts speaking about how deal making is just going left and right, and the game is moving at a lightning fast speed. But the only true alliance out of all these that are created that actually holds any kind of relevance into the rest of the episode was the infamous 6-person alliance that consisted of Jay West, Brent, Jacob, Muna, Katie, and Marcelo, who all deemed themselves as the big targets. And I guess on paper, early game, like if this actually stuck together, this would have been a good move. But just seeing how the personalities that were in this, it was almost like doomed. Like right when
it was. As soon as I saw that, I was like, "Oh, I'm so ready for this to fall apart." Like I was the Marcelo there. I was like,
me too.
I trust no one in this group whatsoever. Like, no way, this is going down. And it just got funny, like as like they went to the competition or whatever, you see it falling apart already right from the right from the start. I was just like, I knew this wouldn't work out. This was awful. But like, yeah, it was just really bad.
Too many cooks in the kitchen.
Too many cooks in the kitchen. You have way too many strong personalities going on.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it was really funny going back to Dylan, what you said, right? Confessional versus on the ground, where Marcelo was pushing this whole narrative of like, guys, we have to stick together. We have to stick together. We have to stick together. And then in the confessional, his confessional, I'm sure the other folks said it too, but it was his confessional that said, no. Just no. Like, just no. He's like, no, I'm a snake. No. So I was like, what's going on? So Dylan, I think now it like clicked in my head now that you said that, because is it like a in your face, I'm kind of just like gonna, do all the right things, say all the right things. So yeah, and Katie also clocked that, and that's why she made the micro alliance.
Which was smart. I would have done the exact same thing if I was Katie. Like I would be like, let's just do this for like a good faith. Like, hey, you guys are all good, but let me find the actual like people that I want to ride with. Which the two people she picked, which was Muna and Jacob, right? Like that's who I would pick up and be like, let's do this thing. Like
the question is when are these confessionals being filmed? Because Marcelo could have filmed this confessional after Jay West was booted, after Katie and then blew up, after it was over. So it could be revisionist history a little bit. It reminds me of like Big Brother Canada. I remember they did this all the time. Someone would lose the HOH and they'd be like, oh, I threw that competition. I wasn't even trying to win it. But it's like, what, you got like 5th in the endurance out of 12 people and you threw it? Like, please. But I was not a fan of that alliance from the start. As much as I liked some of the people that were in it, I didn't like that all these people were like, oh, we're the big players, we're the big targets, we're like the big names. It felt really egotistical. And I also was not here for another not brigade. What were they called?
The Slick Six. I mean, there's so many.
Committee. Oh my god. I wasn't here for that. I was actually very happy one of them went home this episode.
Yeah, me too. And I just had a feeling it would be. It was weird because like the first move with Jay West, like the Josh, like singling out Josh, I was like, oh, okay, like maybe he'll like correct himself after that. And then I was just like, so I was like, I just have this feeling that he's gonna go and I don't know what it is. And then as it unfolded, I was like, this grave, it's just digging itself.
Even like looking at all the members in it, and I love this guy, but like when you see Brent in the alliance, it's just like it's over for like he's the one who talks about how he wants to make the big moves, and I would never trust Brent in the game, and I think a lot of people are talking about that later in the day. So,
but will he be making those big moves though? That's really my question, because again, I forgot who said it. Was it Josh who said it? That, oh, you talked this big game.
It was Josh.
On the podcast, you were like, oh, I would do this. Oh, I would make a big move. Don't be a pussy. That was like the word of the episode was pussy. But we saw in this episode, he kind of got backed into a corner and did something he didn't even want to do. And it's like, what's going to happen?
Exactly.
And I think it's interesting because I also want to make a note about the edit, or not even the edit, the intro package, where like the Sequester bot actually says, I picked a few players to come play, and they didn't name every single person that's played a mini. They only picked a few. So that's also a reason why I'm wondering that if that fed into, the way questions are asked, I don't know, like in a confessional, but did that feed into this whole like big ego situation of the big six? But I also wanted to make that note that it definitely is these players, and like again, the first thing that we saw at the start was singling out a few players as like these, which they are. I want to make that clear, but still, it's not. I don't know that it's so fair to like the other ones.
Yeah, no, absolutely not. No, especially like people who've only played like one or two, like the Rachel's, or I don't know how many Natalie's played. I think she's played a few. And like, and Josh, like it's like we're coming in fresh. Like let's forget.
I think if they were to bring in these mini players, what they should have done is they should have been like, this is Sequester Live. This is mini All Stars. We're bringing in the best of the best mini players.
Exactly.
And they're all going to face each other. That way you don't have these people that are kind of singled out, like Rachel and Josh, who don't really have a chance unless they battle their way. And luckily for us, Josh was able
agree.
Yeah, it's a real disadvantage. You could see it right when the cast was like like on it, but I was excited because I was like, I know all these people, but it's like, oh, it really sucks for people that have like barely kind of who are in the community, but like aren't as active. You know what I mean? So
I want to hear their stories.
Yeah. Exactly. I want to hear a bit more about them. Exactly.
Okay, so we leave this, and this was the first half. We're going to actually move into a little time skip a little bit to the nighttime, where they're actually going to find out the twists and the rules this season. But first, you actually hear about Brent's battle with his addiction, and he starts talking about the rehab organization that's sponsoring this season. It was very powerful. But we find out the rules and what's going on this season, and the first thing we find out is that all the eliminated players are going to be making the jury this season, which is the first, I believe. So that's going to be very interesting to see how that pans out, and probably explains the smaller cast this time around. But we also find out for the first time ever that if you are voted into going into the battle match, that instead of finding out who all voted you, you're going to be able to reveal 3 players of your choosing's votes. And then you get to pick from anybody. So that's a big difference this time. I think it almost negates play like Hunter almost from last season.
Yeah.
Because his big thing was doing hinky votes. And then you would never really ultimately find out who you voted. Where this time you can specifically point someone out and you're like, I want to know who you voted. You promised me this. And I want to see if you kept your word. So it's a big difference, and I think it's actually in a positive direction. Give us good TV, good different strategy.
Yeah, totally.
And I think for the audience, we I think for the most part know who they voted for, so it's not like it's such a big miss. And at the end card, they did add who voted for whom, so it didn't actually matter. Like, so as an audience member, I love it. And I think it almost outs who is aligned with whom, like, right? Like if I'm only asking Dylan and Isaiah and I'm not asking Chanel, like, like I would look into that too. Like, why am I not asking her for who she voted for? Like, is it because I know who she voted for already? Are we already in an alliance? And so when I come back from the battle match, right, like, what does that mean? And blah, blah, blah. So I think like there's so many layers that I hope that they're thinking about as well.
Yeah, I've played a couple I've played games where they've done that, where it's like you can, or actually I think the 2 Sequester minis that I played, we did have it where you could reveal some votes to certain rounds, and those could mess up people so much depending on who it was. So for that one, when it was like Brent's vote and he was like, oh, actually I voted for Katie, I was like, oh no, it's about to go down. Like stuff is about to, so it can like, you can actually use it to your advantage if you stay, because you can like really mess up someone's alliance if you're like, hey, who did you vote for? And it's like, it could really like change something like that. So like they may lose that trust now if they had any.
Right, exactly.
Just by him throwing a vote on her. You know?
This was much needed. I think one of the main problems I had with the show was the format. I liked the beginning part of the game because you really when you were eliminated, you didn't have a free pass into knowing who backstabbed you and who fucked you over. I felt like when the merge came, season 2 is a good example. Everyone was kind of forced to vote a certain way because it was like they all wanted to vote unanimously for Jake, and if anybody didn't do that, they were like, "You're going to be the target the following round." So by giving people the by now having this new format where okay, your vote will be secret unless you get called out.
Yeah,
you need to do a good job managing the person in the round so they don't even think that you would have blindsided them. And I think that the way to go about it this time is don't make any promises that you can't keep.
Yes.
That is what'll fuck someone over. It'll really
early. You make them later if you want. Like, I mean, it's down to the nitty gritty, but at the beginning, you're just like that whole 6 thing just fell apart so fast. I was like, why did you even make this if you were all gonna just make it explode? Like, what the hell?
The way to be is more upfront, definitely.
Yes.
And as much as I don't like an 11-person jury, I think with the whole situation with COVID going on, quarantine, this was filmed a month or two ago. And it's like people did take the time and spend the money to come out here and go and get out of quarantine. I think it was the right move to put everyone on the jury so everyone has a chance at the experience.
Yes, agreed.
And they're such big characters, right? Like, I'm sure even now the jury house is going to be just as fun. Whereas I think in the past it was a little manufactured where like someone would walk in and be like, you, like, I don't like you, or, you know, whatever. But I feel like we're going to get a lot more. And I'm okay with folks now getting voted out a little bit more because I know that I'm not going to lose them on my screen.
They'll be around. Exactly.
Okay. So the first twist of the season was this exile safety twist where someone is going to get safety and their job is to exile someone. The group of people who will be exiled will actually be up for elimination to do the battle match and all that stuff. But the first person for the first round was actually Marcelo. And you can tell that he was happy about this position, but he was also very iffy because he had to eliminate somebody, obviously. And it seemed like he almost took the early easy kind of like pathway, and he took out Josh. And we saw a little bit of interesting gameplay from Josh here because Josh actually bonded with Shirin a little bit and almost kind of like shifted her mind to like not want to go for him. But it was like a little too late, and no one really wanted to keep him at that point. He was like the easy decision. I mean, it makes sense to me. But that's what Marcelo did. How do you guys feel Josh handled this round?
I think he handled it pretty well, considering he was like basically dead in the water at this point because people had already turned. Like he had Katie kind of going after him. Jay West had like kind of amped up his like LOS hunt. Like I think he handled it pretty well. The thing that I think we got with Josh like early on is that he's someone who can actually talk to someone and make a genuine connection just from talking with him. Because he talked to Billy. He like looked in Billy's eye and Billy knew, oh, okay, like we're good. And you didn't like out of all the people in the house, who knew Billy would connect with this person that barely and anyone knows? And it's just this person, Josh, coming in and being like, I got you, we're good, I'm genuine, whatever. And the fact that he did that, and then he went to Shirin and then was just like, oh, like, let's talk, whatever. And he did the exact same thing. So it's like, I think it's like he's dangerous. I think he's more dangerous than people think because he can make those genuine connections. And like knowing how I talk to people and whatever, someone's going to talk to me, I'm going to trust them because I have this genuine connection with him. So even though he knew he was like dead in the water, I think people started seeing that that he had like genuine connections or whatever, right? So like it was really, really good. Like I think he handled it well. He was just like, okay, well, I got this power. Let me try to use it as much as I can and give it to my ally Billy so that she knows we're good.
Yeah.
And let me talk to this person and like show that, you know, I'm genuine. And in the end, she was like trying to save him. So it's like she turned him he turned her so quickly.
Yes.
To save her. It just shows that he can turn someone on a dime, which is like so dangerous, and you wouldn't expect it from him because we don't know much about him. Which is like I like that. I like that little twist that we have in there.
Same.
Yeah, and I hope that he's now that he's coming back, he's really able to, to bring in the Billy, Rachel, even Natalie almost, because Natalie, like we'll talk later, but Shirin, because now she lost Jay West, so all of these people, and note that these people are the big targets. If we're smart, we know that they're somehow working together, at least for now. So let's like work together so we're not cannibalizing each other for, and until 6 or whatever. So, and I think I'm hoping that he at least notices it and starts sowing those seeds, because I think I don't know, but if he were smart, he'd come back a little bit more like, not so like puff and puffing his chest, but I think he needs to like come back and say, I understand what happened, like totally makes sense, and blah 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 blah.
Exactly. And honestly, as much as I know that it would be so much fun if Marcelo would have put up like Katie or like a bigger name.
Exactly.
Like I understood his decision, and I wasn't mad about it, because I probably would have done the same thing, to be honest with you. It was the first round. He was in that alliance of 6. There was no reason for him to really rock the boat. Like it was the easiest thing for him. The only problem was that he unfortunately doesn't get to be a part of the relationship making and the deal making that come with giving someone safety or putting someone up for elimination. So I feel like he should have leveraged that choice to put someone in the bottom a little bit more than he did.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I see that. And sorry, it's Shireen, not Shirin. My bad if you're watching. It's terrible. But yeah, no, totally. Because I was expecting, like, if Marcelo got it, like, because he was like, I'm a snake. Like, I blew up. I was expecting him to just be like,
once again.
Like, throw someone right after. Yeah, and it was just like, oh, no, never mind. Just go with the house, even though there's only 13 of us. Like, who cares?
Even though there's like too many people, I was like, I was like, okay.
That actually, that's the piece where I literally made a note. I said, Marcella's running away, LOL. Like, it's what I wrote. Because I was like, what? Like, I played in a safety chain when I played a mini, and it was chaotic. And I mean, it was the worst thing ever. Like, I made it through, but still, like, that's the point of, like, you have to know, like, who's safe, who's telling me don't put up blank or put up blank, right? Like, to me, it's like information gathering, and like Marcelo, out of everyone, was in the best space for it because no one gave it to him, right? So he can be like, I got it by chance, so let me now, like, tell me what you think, like, who do you want to put up, versus almost down when, it got middle of the road to like Katie onward, or no, actually even Jay West onwards, where they were kind of like, well, the person before me told me who to do, so this is what I'm gonna do. And it kind of like like you didn't get as much information, versus I think Marcelo could have gotten so much information and people were wanting to give it to him. He wasn't receiving it.
Leverage it.
And to be honest too, if he really wanted to play the I'm a snake, I'm a crazy, I'm gonna do something wild, what he could have done is, I forgot who did it in season 2. I think it was Kilby. He could have closed his eyes, he could have spun in a circle and then pointed at a random person. And I mean, hey, you know what? If that's your game, that's your game.
Exactly.
I was waiting for it. I was waiting for the crazy move. But no, just gonna go with it. But honestly, like in that position, I would do that. But that's just the kind of player I am. I was just expecting it to be different. That's all.
Yeah.
Totally.
So we actually going to go into round 2. Round 2 was actually where Josh had to go give someone safety after he just got exiled. Billy made a really good move here where she actually tells Josh that Katie was the one throwing his name around last round. And this actually almost sets the foundation for like the rest of the day. That has like Katie and Josh was like butting heads here.
Yeah.
Ultimately, this move gave Josh the comfortability to give Billy the safety, and the next round after she would have to exile someone. But I thought this was very impressive from Billy. This was like some high tier social game almost. I was very impressed.
Yeah, I think that was really smart. Like you just like letting you know, hey, I'm gonna let you know who put you in this situation, and I want you to like kind of go for them, because really for Billy's game, Katie's not good for Billy's game whatsoever. They're not aligned. Katie's a good player. Like, what's the point of her keeping Katie safe over Josh, who's actually an ally of hers? So why wouldn't you throw that under there so that Josh can like start like in exile, start like pushing for Katie, like Katie like staked me out, like all of this stuff. So like that was really smart of Billy, but Billy does it without getting, you know, any blood on her hands, because it's like whatever, like everyone knows that anyway. I'm just telling you that. So it's not like oh, Billy's a snake. No, because everyone knows that this is happening right now. So I think it was really well done on Billy's end.
Yeah. And this is where what Brendan is trying to do with this like surfer bro energy, like Billy's executing on it, I think so much better, where it feels more genuine, where she literally is saying like, no, it's all about energy. It's the eye thing, like folks looking me in the eye, all of that. Like this is where I think she's just executing it better, because she reads, at least to me on screen, like so much more relatable and like genuine in how she feels, because someone that like looks like her, I wouldn't think is like so into energies, you know, all of that thing. So it was really cool. And this is what, right, when we say diversity, like this is what we mean, right? Like a Billy that maybe looks a certain way, but like believes in like spiritual and energies and all of these things. So that's like real diversity, when it not just like the stereotypical BS that we've been
getting. Yeah, totally.
Okay, so go ahead.
I was gonna say this was where I really started to like Billy, and
Same.
I was like, eye contact is one of the key things. That's why I like. I study psychology, and you can tell pretty easily when someone is lying to you, or when someone isn't even comfortable with you, specifically through how much eye contact they're giving you. And Billy, I think, is a lot more intelligent than people will give her credit for. And I really am excited to see what she does this season.
Yeah. I was like, oh, eye contact. Oh, I would, every alliance I would be breaking, because I can't make eye contact with a single person. Because I'm super awkward. So this would be horrible for me, and Billy would not want to align with me whatsoever.
Right.
Okay, so we go into the next round, and it was pretty simple. Billy's whole criteria just to get someone exiled was, you don't speak to me, you're going up. And straight up, she said Jay West and Natalie were the people who didn't speak to her the most while she was in the house. So she was looking between those two. Natalie almost instantly, I think this is like the only real camera time she got this episode. That's okay. Goes up to Billy and's like, oh, like, I'm sorry, you know, we can connect, yada, yada, yada. Jay West straight up was like, yeah, I'm not talking to her. I'm just worry about my people.
Yeah, I was like,
I have that as my second point for him digging his, and I think I don't know if it was at this point when he was like, whatever, throw me in there. This is going to be a great story arc for me when I battle back, like when I go into a battle back and come out, and I'm just like, what? Dude, why? Why would you act? Why?
Why would you want to go to exile? Like,
all you needed to do, and I do, like, I feel like most players do this every time, is at least have a conversation with someone who has the power. Not ignore it like, oh, whatever, I'm cool. It's just be like, hey, I hope you know we're good. You know, please, if you could not put me in, whatever. Like, just a little conversation, not even a hi or wow, congrats, or what? Like nothing. Like
it's only necessary to not talk to them if you guys are known enemies. If you guys don't like each other and targeting each other, then you don't have to talk. But like, it's round 1.
You don't know each other. You don't know each other. I'm so confused.
Like, what did you expect?
I knew it was happening. I just knew it.
and I liked it because this is the first person we really see like a big personality, blah blah blah, whatever, like go in, and I was like, yes, Billy, this is exactly what we want, because I think Billy could have put a smaller, personality in to take the easy route, but Billy did the exact right thing. And I didn't appreciate how Jay West was like, well, just say it. Just say you didn't talk to me, so you want to put me in. And I was like, you did all this drama, didn't want to talk to her, blah, blah, blah. And now you mad for what?
Why are you mad?
I feel like he's putting on this big ego. And it's just, I'm hoping this is not him. Like, because I was trying so hard. I'm like, I want to root for you. I want to root for you. But it's like, I just can't. Like,
you're making it hard, boo.
I mean, it's just that your mouth wrote a check that you're asking in cash. That's all it was, unfortunately.
Exactly,
and it's hard. But Jay West, I think, tweeted this morning a picture of him on his phone, and it's like a sticker, humble pie sticker. Yeah. So I thought it was sweet. I just
he did.
So I think like he understands like what happened. But I think and this is good for all players to know, like especially returning ones, where like, don't get caught up in all of this, like the like smoke and mirrors, because you're gonna get tripped up.
Right. Don't go chasing that clout. Go chasing that crown.
The clout will come with the crown. How about that?
No, exactly.
That will come with the crown. Just worry about yourself. You know what? People respect game plays, game moves, you making it to the end, you navigating yourself through it and winning. They want to see some sick gameplay, So if you're just like, digging yourself a hole from the beginning and your first boot, like, good luck on the clout.
Like, Natalie White from Survivor is a good example. People forget about her winning. They discredit her all the time. I would be happy taking Natalie White's spot. Like, you know what? She got the crown, she got the $1 million, and she left. And you know what? Like, if the clout doesn't come with it, so be it. I'd rather be known as the winner of Sequester Season 4 than be known as, oh, they were a great player, they got 5th place, they're a big personality. No, I want the money, I want the win,
I'm every game I am ever in is for the prize. I don't care about anything, and that's what I think what makes a good player is. I'm not here. I feel like clout comes to people who don't want it most of the time. So it's like, if I'm in here and I'm playing because I want to win this thing, I don't care about anything else around me, then that's who I'm rooting for. That's the player I want. And yeah, Dylan, if they don't win, but they were like freaking sick player and they came in 5th place, or 3rd place, like an Aika Wong or whatever, like, I don't know what place she came in or whatever.
4th? Yeah.
I'm following you.
Exactly.
Because you were sickening. So anyway,
and they're not trying. That's the thing, though, that most of these people that are fan favorites and that are memorable, they're not putting on an act. It's who they really are.
Yeah.
And I think that that's like a really important thing, because I think a lot of people, when they go on Sequester, and I'm not pointing out anyone in particular, because I felt this with all the seasons. There's a lot of super fans, especially, that are on this show.
Yeah.
And they dream of going on, and then when they finally do get on this show, they overplay it, and they're like, oh, rah, 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 in hopes of, I don't know, maybe possibly getting on Survivor and Big Brother, or getting the attention that they want. I think that they want to play a certain way, and they want to be a certain way, and be as iconic as, I don't know, Sandra and Boston Rob. But it comes naturally. Just be yourself.
Yeah, just play the game. You're here to win. If it comes, it comes.
And I think he could have been. That's what I think, because he was set up. He was in the right rooms at the right time. That's why I was just like, oh, come on.
I thought it would be good this time, but
his biggest enemy was himself.
Yeah, his inner saboteur.
I was legitimately about to say that, Chanel. I'm so bad. RuPaul's about to come out. You're
Yeah.
Saboteur.
Inner Saboteur.
Just to add on with what you guys are saying, I mean, you also got to remember he's the first ever returner to Sequester. Like, you've had that opportunity to be the character, the iconic moments and all that. Try to win.
Yes.
You know, just have a good time this time. You know.
Exactly.
Before we even move on to the next round, I almost forgot to say, because this was off screen, but it was shown in the next round, that Jay West actually goes to a group of people, specifically Brendan was in this one, and he actually throws out that Jacob and Muna are a possible duo and need to be watched out for. And that character
gets in his face.
I feel like everyone knew that, though. Like, there's nothing new here. They even were like, we told you all we are one, but like, we'll work with you.
You never want to be the person to throw names out. You especially this early on, you don't want to be known as that loose cannon. That was like strike 2 almost, because he already did it with Josh, and now he's doing it. Here.
Just throwing names right under that bus, like.
Or if you're gonna do it, don't do it to everyone. Like this is also another thing I actually noticed in general with every single person. Like they were not really like pausing, and I know that the rounds were only 5 minutes. That's probably why, but and that's what Sequester loves to do. But it's almost like take a breath, because they were giving information. Like each person was giving information to the person, and then that person would give it to their allies. So it's almost like no one was really understanding. And this is probably because it's like actual day 1 of gameplay. Yeah. But it was so interesting because I think Brent also told Brendan, and he told Spencer, and then they went back and told Katie. It was just like a constant issue where everyone was making these mistakes, where they were kind of like telling the people, so if you're gonna throw the name out, fine, but like don't throw it to every single person, all 13 people.
I know, it's just like you notice too, the people that were like safe in this thing were the people that were minus like Natalie and Rachel, but like Billy, Shireen, like whoever else, Marcelo, Brett, like Brendan, they were all kind of just laying back and just being those people that did the head nod and being like, okay, that sounds good, whatever, just kind of going with the flow. So it's like with the Katie and the Jay West situation, it was like they were just going at it right at the beginning, like we need to get this person out, we need to get this person out. And you know what I mean? And then Jay West did that with Katie and was starting to throw Katie under the bus, and it was just like, okay, if you're just going to start throwing names out, people are going to be nervous about you, because it's like, my name might be next. I don't want you throwing my name out. Like, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Someone in the chat said it was like telephone, telegraph, teleplayer.
Yeah. There it
is. That's got me dead.
So we go into the next round. Jay West is exiled, and instantly pulls Spencer aside, saying, if I keep you safe, you need to take Katie out. And it looked like for a little bit that was what he was going to do, but word gets back to Jacob from Brendan that his name was thrown out there with Muna from Jay West, that they were a duo. Jacob relays this to Muna, and it's kind of funny because they were both wearing denim unintentionally. So they're like a denim duo.
That was a cute moment.
But
great minds think alike.
Yeah. Go ahead, Dylan.
Oh, I said great minds think alike.
Yeah, okay. The denim.
So what it does is that Jacob wants to confront the situation, but it's too early in the game. He doesn't want to get anything on, no blood. But Muna, she doesn't care. She's like, I know how to tackle the situation. She basically pulls Jay West aside and is like, yeah, I heard you put my name out there. I wanted to work with you, yada, yada, yada. If you want me to trust you in this game, you need to give me safety now. If you don't, then I know that like this is dead. And you can tell Jay West, he was trying to be like, almost like he's trying to stand his ground. Is like, we can still work together. But Jay West was like, I'm actually kind of shaken up by this, but he doesn't like being told what to do at all.
Yeah, I think, totally. Go ahead,
he ultimately just gives it to Shren. No, you're good. I have a little lag, so.
Okay.
But he ultimately just gives it to Shren, and Yeah, like I don't think Muna liked that at all. But I was kind of intrigued with how she handled the situation. I thought it was good. I mean, there's obviously like a small few consequences with this move, but it was intimidating. It reminded me of like Vanessa a little bit when she used to like call Austin out for like the BS he would pull.
I think it was really smart for Muna, and
yeah,
I think it's only because how are you going to go in and do this 6-person alliance? Then you're automatically just throwing my name out like right away after we just did this alliance, and for no reason, after you've already thrown out other names. Like, you're just going to throw this one under too. And I think he was shook because he got caught and someone called him out on it, as Muna should. And she played that really well, because in the end, if it had worked, like she gains an ally, because now he's like, oh no, I got to gain Muna's trust.
Yes.
I got to keep her safe. So I think it was really, really smart. I think this Muna move probably was the final nail in his coffin, to be honest, because it was like, dude, no one trusts you now. You just threw out another name. You've thrown out 3 names. You are not sticking to your guns at all. If he had just stuck to the Josh situation, I think Josh would be gone. I think Josh and Katie would have went into the battle back, and he would be totally fine. But now this final thing where you're just going to like throw her under, like that's your final nail. Like it's done.
It was so unnecessary.
It really was.
To where I almost got faked out. Where I was like, wait, so he's going for, like, I literally wrote in my notes, Jay West versus Katie, ? Like, because I was like, and then eventually I figured it out. But like by the time they, I think, got to the XL dining table, but I was like, wait, is he going for like Katie? And I just missed it. What happened?
He just was dropping way too many names. He was dropping Muna, dropping Katie, dropping Josh. Like, you don't need to be throwing out all these names. Like, there's only one person that goes home. Like, there was no feasible reason to do all that. He was doing way too much.
In here, I'm actually going to give a few players credit, because first of all, you have Brendan, who threw out that he was even saying Jacob and Muna's name. Very good. And I don't think it ever got exposed out there. That actually just built a connection between Jacob and Brendan. That it just got really strong right there. So that was a really great move on his part. And I will say another big mistake that I think is almost overlooked here is that Jay West promised Spencer safety and he didn't give it to him. It just made him look like a loose cannon at that point.
It was like, why? Who did he give it to again? He gave
Shireen.
It to Shireen. It was just like, why? Like, why would you make this promise with somebody, like, make it a whole thing, and then just give it to Shireen? It was just
you could have fixed it. You could have fixed it right there by giving it, like, and then not only that, he was like, the condition is you have to throw Katie under.
Yeah. What the heck?
What? Why?
He should have at the least upheld his promise with Spencer. Like, I'm not the biggest Spencer fan, but he should have at least given Spencer safety, because you made that promise. Now you've shown that you break your promises.
Yeah, exactly. Right from the get-go.
Or don't make promises until the last minute, right?
Exactly.
Don't cash checks you can't. Don't write checks you can't cash.
Can't cash, yeah.
Like,
and the thing is, I actually do think that Spencer possibly would have put up Katie if he actually gave him the safety.
Oh, he would have.
I feel like
he was shaking in his boots. He would have put up.
Yeah,
Katie.
Exactly. He was there. He was really close.
I think he would have put up Katie only because I think he knew she had a strong chance of actually going down with Josh, because Josh would have probably been really pissed that Katie threw him under and would have taken him. And you saw that he was like, yeah, like, I'm going to take you. So it was like, I think he would have been like, yeah, I'm going to throw her in because we have a chance here of taking her out, you know? And I know she's a good player. She took me out.
Exactly.
So we're going to actually move into the next round, which was round 5. And Shireen takes I would say this is almost like an easy road. Like, she basically sits everyone down and she just airs out all the dirty laundry. She tells everyone, Jay West gave me the safety to take out Katie. And he was actually going to give it to Spencer, and Spencer just straight up says, yeah, he wanted me to take you out too. So everyone just throwing Jay West under the bus at this point. Katie doesn't like this, obviously, pulls Shirin aside and tries to beg for her life, but she just follows through with her promise, and she
should.
Yeah.
It was giving me very The Last Supper a little bit, with like
gathered you here today.
I know.
To throw Katie under the bus.
One of you will betray me.
One of you will betray me.
Oh my god!
It was so funny, and I just could not. I am here for Shireen Christ, and I am Jewish, but I'm still here for it.
Shireen already is playing the most low-key game, but making these like slight like game moves in the process. Like even like I don't think we touched on it, but like the four woman POC alliance, right at the beginning there, I was like, yes, this is it. And she's just like, yes, you are my people, whatever. Like she's just making these like small micro connections without even having to do anything. Like Josh came to her, Jay West came to her, like, you know, and I know she can do the look in the eye Billy thing and get Billy on her side too. So it's just like, this is strategic gameplay. And like her putting Katie, of course, I would do the exact same thing. If I hadn't talked, I don't think they had talked to each other at all at that point. I think she had mentioned that. So it's like, why am I going to save you if you haven't even tried to strategize with me? You know what I mean? So,
if you can put it on someone to say, Jay West told me, that's it. To me, like, it doesn't even, that is, again, she's in because I think the person that gets safety isn't, unfortunately, a bad situation because they have to put someone into exile. And, you know, again, it's so early in the game. Like, do you make these moves, blah, blah, blah. But her and Muna were in the best space where they were like, say less. I can do this. It's done for me, because it was literally done for them. So that's where I feel like Brent and Jay West a little bit, but like could have played it a little bit more close to their chest and led Shireen to, like, Jay West could have led her to the water instead of kind of be like, drink it.
Yeah. I'm only giving you this if you do that. And Brent did the exact same thing with Muna too. So like Muna's like, okay.
I wouldn't have cared who it was. I would have been like, oh, you want me to put them in? Sure. I mean, would I?
Yeah, I don't care.
I mean, if it was y'all there and like they said put Isaiah in, I'd be like, yeah, I'll totally do that. I probably wouldn't have, but I wouldn't have really cared. I would just be like, I'm not putting Isaiah in. But for the most part, especially with new people, I don't really care. I just want safety. That's it.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. You're still trying to get to know each other, especially if you're not someone who's like a constant mini player or whatever. So if someone's going to tell me to do something, I'm going to do it. You know what I mean? So, or you could do the opposite and be like, I'm not doing it because no one tells me what to do. So I'm going to put this person in. So really you could play it either way, but I think she played the right move in that instance.
Okay. So we go into round 6 and Katie spiraling. Basically, all right, let's change gears. I want my allies and with me, because then I feel like if she had reliable allies there with her, it would have worked. But I mean, she wants. She's scared of Josh and Jay West, who both said her name this round to go. So she wants to send in Brent, and this is when Brent starts to go like downhill a little bit with his game. He does not like. He's like, I don't care. I'm not sacrificing myself for anybody. And I think this is where Spencer starts to do a little bit better. Spencer and Brendan specifically, because Katie trusts those two. Brendan, while Brendan is over here ranting to Spencer, Brendan is over here like, if you give me this, I will send Brent in. Like, I don't care.
Yeah.
And she takes his word for it.
And
which is also and which is also so interesting that Brendan played really well, period. And it was really interesting that she would rather Brendan not be with her, because someone said this at the start. I can't remember which one of the players did, but that you want, I think it was Brendan, maybe I'm wrong, that you want your allies in exile with you, so they vote with you. And I feel like the people that were going into exile weren't really like setting themselves. So like Brent at least was trying to set himself up. I don't think he did well, but he was trying. Whereas I don't know that everyone else was.
Go ahead, Dylan.
Oh, okay. I'll be quick. I think that Katie, I liked her move, and I think it was the way I would personally be thinking is I want my allies there. I'm thinking maybe did she want her expendable allies to be in exile with her? Because if you have allies that are expendable and they're the ones at risk, if one goes, it's not that big a deal. But keeping Brendan in the safe house means that he doesn't have a chance to go. It's kind of like when you put people on the block as a pawn in Big Brother.
Yes.
It's like you don't want them to go, but if they have to go, they have to go.
Yeah, exactly. All I was going to say was that, like, I think Brent could have played it a little bit cooler in the sense that I don't think he was in trouble at all if he went to exile. I don't think there was no target on his back. No one was talking about him.
Yeah.
I think he should have been like, I will happily go there. And he should have happily voted for Josh.
Yes.
Because then he's not pissing off Katie if his vote gets, exposed. So I think he should have been like, if I have to go down, that's what it is. Like, play it off as an ally. He can stab her back later, stab her in the back later. But at this point, I think he was just getting I feel you. Like, you're gonna go down, and that sucks. I'm going to exile, and that sucks. But I think he could have played it a little bit cooler, like how Josh did, where Josh was just like, okay, this is my fate. I accept it. What do you guys need from me? And just played it off that way. So I think he could have played it just a little bit more cooler. I know that's not his personality. His personality is just to be kind of like, out there, whatever. But I think he could have went to exile, and there would have been no trouble for him. But it just didn't go that way.
Yeah, I agree.
And the thing is, I think a lot of people are afraid to go to exile. Where honestly, at this point, I mean, I think it's almost obvious that either Jay West, Josh, or Katie's getting voted in there. Like no one else was being talked about at that point. So he mismanaged it. I mean, he stayed. So we're gonna go into round 7, where Brendan, obviously he's safe right now after he did his little head nod thing. I thought that was funny. He wants to put in Brent, like Katie said, but Brent wants him to put in Spencer. Like Brent is just throwing everyone under the bus. He's like, I don't care as long as I'm here. I'm like, I don't care what you do. And it looked like for a little bit that Brendan was entertaining the idea of putting Spencer in, or at least somebody else, because he didn't want to piss off Brent.
Yeah.
But the mistake here that Brent made was he went to Muna a little too early, and he told her that if he's exiled, he's giving her the safety if she puts Spencer in. And obviously she agrees. Muna walks into the room that Brendan's in, and he's thinking about not putting Brent in, and then she starts pushing for Brent to get put in at that point. And ultimately Brent gets exiled.
Yeah. No, that was. I think he could have just been like, because who cares if Spencer's there? Even at that point. He could have just been like, I'm going to give you safety because I want to work with you and I want to keep you safe. So here it is. You don't need to push anyone. At this point, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It doesn't, literally, it does not matter. You know what I mean? You can figure out the logistics once you figure out who else is in exile and where the votes are going towards, which at that point, I think there was a couple towards Katie and I think the rest were Josh or whatever.
Exactly.
So it's just like, you could have been like, okay, I'm just going to go with Josh just in case Katie gets pissed off, because at this point they're still trying to figure out Josh. They don't know if he's gonna be vengeful over a vote or if he's gonna be like, everyone was going that way anyway, I get it, whatever, you can explain it later, but Katie's fiery is gonna come after you. So it's like, yeah, he should have just went to her and been like, I'm gonna give you safety, I really want to work with you, and that's the end of the story, and you can choose whoever you want to put down. End of story. And there's a bond right there you could have had, instead of you need to do this and you need to make up a story on why you're putting this person down. No. No.
And I'll talk more about this later, but honestly, I don't know if he did this, but what I felt Brent should have done with that vote situation is he should have just been like, look, you're not getting any support for the Katie move.
Yes.
I hate to do this to you, but I need to vote for you, or else it's going to completely fuck my game up.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think he could have even, I know we're talking about it, we're jumping the gun, but he could have said, me being safe will mean you are safe because I do want to work with you. And I do, like, I think because Josh was so mad that I think I understand where Brent maybe was coming from, because I think when the other person is so angry and just going crazy, and then you're all of a sudden having to match that, which you shouldn't, right? Like, you have to calm them down. You shouldn't match that energy ever. But like, it's fine. I don't know what I would have done necessarily, but I think Monday morning quarterback, like I think, the move would have been like, no, like me being safe and then helps you, like he could have done some roundabout thing like that.
Exactly. I agree.
So we're going to go into the next round. It was pretty straightforward, very short. Basically, Brent follows through with his deal. He gives Muna the safety, period. All she has to do is put Spencer in the bottom. Round 9, Muna is, like she said to Brent, is going to put Spencer up to exile, but she tells Jacob to make a deal with Spencer before she even does this. Jacob goes to Spencer and basically they just start talking and saying that how they want to work together, because Spencer was very iffy about Jacob's game originally. But then when Jacob did this, Spencer was a little bit more comfortable to give him safety. And ultimately he gives Jacob the safety, putting the last two people in the exile with him. I thought this was a good move on Muna, first of all, for even telling Jacob what she was going to do, because this put the blocks in motion. Put the blocks in place to give Jacob the opportunity to even be safe with her. After that, I think Jacob did a very good job even fostering this relationship in, like you guys said, 5 minutes almost. Because she actually got ahead of the train, where it seemed like Natalie and what's the other girl's name?
Rachel.
It was Natalie. Yes, and Rachel. It gave him the leverage to be safe over those two. So I thought this was a very good move on both of their parts.
Yeah, totally. Agree.
So final round. Everyone is exiled. It's Brent, Rachel, Natalie, Jay West, Josh. I feel like I'm forgetting somebody. There was like one more person. Katie.
Yeah.
And it's pretty straightforward. A lot of people are just looking at Josh, and Josh makes a very bold move here that actually it benefited him in some sort later down the road, where he pulled Brent aside and straight up told him, "If you vote me, I'm pulling you to the battle match."
I was like, damn.
And Brent,
I know.
Yeah, I was like, where's this guy? I did not see that coming at all. Like, that was cutthroat.
There it is.
I didn't hate the move though. Honestly, it's something I would do. I would have been like, yeah, oh, you're gonna put me in? Okay, well, I'm gonna take you with me.
It's like the drags, like the Final Four
exactly.
drags.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Also, I wanted to even, as soon as they were at that dining table, when they took their blindfolds off, Josh left the room first, which actually I think didn't work in his favor, not because like they got to kind of hone in on him, but actually because it allowed Katie and Jay West to squash their beef immediately. Mm-hmm. I think if he was still at that table, he could have almost still put the spotlight on Jay West to say, Katie, you and I need to get together because this guy is putting the sus on me, on us, whatever. And I think that, I don't know if it would have worked, but I think like him completely eliminating himself from that situation really got these like big power players again, like because they're good at the game. Like they could quickly be like, let's squash the beef. I'm actually going to vote for you. I know that kind of bit Jay West in the butt, like at another scene right before elimination. But I don't know if he should have left the room, like, and no one followed him. So why didn't he come back?
Yeah.
And I also forgot to say, almost after the scene, Josh basically tells, because he already knew Kay was going to vote for him, but he tells Jay West, hey, can you vote with me? Because like I don't feel comfortable. Jay West tells him mistakenly, yeah, I will vote Katie with you. And then I think another, I don't know, very, very long list of mistakes from Jay West. When you know that he gets the opportunity, if he's asking you this question that you're going to be looked at,
Oh.
Yeah. He was very confident in his comp ability as well. I mean, but still, it's just like I think Josh was strongly underestimated by like everyone here.
100%.
I was so surprised that he was so confident in his comp ability. You went home on a comp last season.
You also don't know what it is. You have no idea what the comp is going to be.
No
sorry.
idea.
When I was like, when I said the Muna was the nail in the coffin, this was it.
Yes.
This was the nail in the coffin. As soon as you tell someone I'm going your way and then you flip it, you're just trying to piss them off when they pick you to see. You're just
Which is why.
Oh no, wait! The nail in the coffin hasn't come yet. The nail in the coffin's coming up. Like the final one.
That's true.
Yeah, true. There's a bunch of nails in this coffin.
Yeah, but no, I 100% agree. Like, to me, this is where I think Jay West almost was confused of who he was going for, is what I felt. Because I was like, you're going where the wind is blowing. Like, okay, if I'm with Katie, I'm against Josh. But if I'm with Josh, I'm against Katie. It's like, I think Jay West could have I take it back. But I think if it was on Josh, like, he should have owned up to it and then said, okay, fine, I'll go in. But if he wasn't talking all that smack, I really think Katie would have gone into the battle match. Even though I think she had a really good impassioned speech, I think she maybe still would have gone in if Jay West would have correctly, I think, owned up to his vote.
Yes,
exactly. And then just to fast forward, Josh obviously gets voted in. I think he got like 6 votes. I gotta look back at it.
He got 5 because it was everyone except for Brent and Josh that did it.
Brent himself, yeah.
And basically his original plan was to vote in Katie with him just so he can he thinks it's going to be an easy road to the next round. So he picks Katie. Katie basically goes on the defensive trying to defend her game, and she just throws Jay West strictly under the bus. I call him Jay West, but she throws Jay West strictly under the bus. Basically saying that he was a part of your name. He's the one saying that you found the LOS and all that stuff. He threw all this stuff out here, and Jay West for some reason just says, hey, I don't want to get picked in, but I mean, if you put me in, like, let's do it. Like, I'll test you or whatever.
I didn't like
foolish.
And Josh seemed like he was about, it was cocky.
Yeah, and that's exactly where. So if anyone hasn't seen Sequester before, like, this is what's really great about the battle matches is that it isn't like a Big Brother or even a Survivor where it's like all brawn, right? Like, it is strategy. It takes a lot. It's like not silly, but like they're competitions that for the most part anyone can win. So that's what's really important for to me, it's like that's the first thing, right? Like, the battle match could be anything. So like, you don't want to go in because like more than likely the odds to win favorite like doesn't win. So it's really interesting because I don't know why JBS would do that. But because these competitions anyone can win, and that's what like I don't know. I just kept like replaying that. Like, what are you doing?
No, exactly, and I agree with you. One of my favorite moments hosting has been in season 4 of my show. There was a round where you had to pick people onto your team, and if you were the last one picked, you were out of the game.
Yeah.
And there was this woman named Enid who she had to pick between this guy Rizzo and this guy Odd. And Rizzo was like winning challenges. He was this nice guy, and he was the one that their alliance had chosen to go. But then when the final please came around, Rizzo gave this like impassioned speech. He was like, I really want to stay. I don't want to go home this round. And then when they went to the guy named Odd, he was just like, what's good? So Enid was like, oh, you know what? Because of that, Odd, you can go home. So
yeah,
you need to show a level of empathy, and you can't let your ego get the best of you. And I really think if Jay West would have just been like, I'm sorry, I had to vote for you. My vote didn't really matter.
Mm-hmm.
It's what had to be done. And if you have to pick me, I understand. But like, I hope you don't. instead of being like, if you pick me, good luck, he was basically saying, if you pick me, you're going to lose.
Yes.
And it's like, well, fuck you, you know? And I wasn't that big of a fan of Katie's speech either, because I felt like she was just throwing people under the bus for the sake of it. And, you know, Katie was discrediting herself a little bit. She was like, oh, I'm such a weak choice. No, you're a really strong player.
You're
Katie.
a very strong choice. You're a very strong choice.
Exactly. So
yeah.
I didn't really like either of their narratives, but I loved when he picked Jay West to go in the bottom, because
that was it. I would have done the exact. At this point, what do I have to lose? I have no idea. I have no idea what the challenge is. Someone's coming at me for no reason. If I take this player out, who I know is a strong player and is like, you know, butting heads with a bunch of people are going to be thankful that I took him out.
Yeah.
So what do I got to lose here?
Yeah, the only thing now, it just came to me that then you keep Jay West in, right? Like almost as a, because now that guy's gonna. I mean, I don't think any of us can like again think that quickly so well, but because I think again both of them either of them going home helps Josh. Either of them staying also helps Josh. So I think Josh really was in the best position, because now with Katie, he can totally say like, so sorry, I think I got swept up. It was almost pin it all on Jay West to say like, he was telling me all these things. That's why I picked you. But as soon as you said, hey, why are you going for me? I think first he needs to say like, just because you're a woman, like that doesn't mean anything, because like you're a big player, like stroke the ego. Everyone likes to hear about themselves. So to me, like going into next week, like that's what Josh has to do. He almost has to like speak to Katie and say, you know, like we're not at the bottom, but like we've already been nominated. So let's not keep getting nominated now because our names are already out there, which unfortunately happens with Sequester. So how do I, and I think again with if Jay West would have stayed, and Katie would have gone, I think that's another same situation where he would have been fine because they would have just hated him. And Sharon would have, I think, like dropped Jay West.
And I agree with you, Sasha. Like they really should be focused on getting their names off of the market, because Sequester specifically, if you see all the seasons, most of the time there's one big target throughout the majority of the pre-merge or like the beginning portion of the game. In season 1, it was who was it? It was like I think her name was Katie, or no, it was Holly. Jamie Lee, kind of, and it was a couple people. Season 2, Judd was like the big name.
Yeah.
Season 3, was like Drew. So it's really hard to shake a target when you have it on your back so early.
Exactly.
So that should be what they're focused on right now.
Yeah, exactly. Like get the target off, and then like sweep it under the rug, and then just like it's a new game. But yeah, like it was just like, I feel like I would be Jay West in that situation, because sometimes I get heated. So if someone's coming at me, I'll be like, let's go.
Yeah. For sure.
So I get that. And same thing with Josh. Like I get that. I get why this happened or whatever, because I would be the same way. It's like, well, let's go. I don't give a fuck at this point.
Yeah.
We're doing this. So I get it in that moment. You always think logically, like, I wouldn't have done that, but I've done like a safety chain where I'm like, why did I take that person out? That made no sense whatsoever. But it was just like the moment, you know, you're in it.
Yeah.
And just to build off of what you were saying, Sasha, because you were talking about the Jay West and Katie connection, I think it's almost slept on that when they got put into the battle match, Josh and Jay West, they both said that they liked each other. It takes a simple conversation, because I think Josh said it before they went in. He said, since you didn't want to get to know me in there, you have to get to know me out here.
Yeah.
If they just had a simple conversation, I think it would have been fine. They would have been on the same page. But you know, Jay West was all over the place, and Josh was literally out the first round. So it's unfortunate how things work out.
Agreed.
So we go to the competition. It's a puzzle, and it looked very competitive for the beginning half, but Josh just takes it. After a bunch of trash talk between the both of them, I thought that was very entertaining. But Jay West is our first boot of Sequester, possibly coming back as he claims. So that is episode 1 right there. Real quick, we're going to do a cast tier list that was created on Tierlist Maker. If anyone in the chat box watching live or watching at a later date wants to do it, the link is in the description to it.
Oh,
so real quick, how would you guys rate Billy's game?
I'd put her in S because she did a really, or maybe A.
I was gonna say not S, maybe like an A.
Yeah.
A.
Yeah, I think A is good because I think we might be sleeping on her otherwise. So
yeah. Maybe S is like player of the week would be S.
Okay. How would you guys rate Brendan's game?
I think A.
I can agree with that.
I think an A or B, like an A, just because he kind of turned it on. He turned it on when he needed to, but kind of laid low. So maybe an A, because he turned it on right when he needed to and got himself safety, and like played it to give it to certain people without anyone noticing that it was really him. So yeah, definitely an A. Yeah.
Okay. Where are you guys putting Brent?
I'd put him in D, to be honest.
Yeah, I think. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say just because, like, I think he came out of this week in like one of the worst positions ever.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. Like, I think I was like, yeah, he's starting pretty good. Like, he's not being overly like abrasive or whatever. And then the Muna move kind of like moved him down a little bit. And then the Katie vote, I think, just put it like next week. I think he's in trouble. Like, I think Katie's gonna go.
That's what I was.
Him. So I'm gonna give it a D as well.
Yeah, I think D for sure makes sense because who's almost like threat for elimination, and unfortunately I think Brent might be. Again, it just depends on how he maneuvers the Katie thing.
Yeah, we'll see how he might get his way out of it depending on how next week goes. Yeah,
hopefully he can.
Yeah.
All right, how about Mr. Jacob Jones?
S. Oh, S. Yeah. We've been known.
Best position in that house right now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just like his name wasn't even mentioned.
He definitely gives off that vibe like people are going to be afraid to put his name out there.
Yeah.
I think that could be it too. You see, like, he kind of has I don't want to give him the title of a messiah, but he kind of has like that status.
Yeah, for sure.
Where nobody wants to, or maybe like he's the Don, and it's like you don't want to.
The Godfather,
the Godfather. You don't want to come for him. Like,
yeah, you have to kiss the ring, basically, is what it is. I agree.
Exactly.
Please tell me your plans. without even doing anything. It's just people like him so much.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. How about Josh?
After that, I'm a Josh stan.
I know.
But I still probably would give him a B just because the beginning wasn't so good.
Yeah.
And then I'm gonna because if he hadn't done this battle match, he'd probably be closer to a C or a D.
Yes,
so I'm gonna give him a B after that comeback.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Yeah, I think a B as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. How about Katie?
Oh.
I feel like she's on the lower end, but like maybe not D.
I would give her a C.
Yeah,
I would say C. I think C is perfect.
And she has
too hard, I think.
And she has allies. I think the reason for me she's not a D is because she has allies in at least two people, right? Brendan and Spencer, at least. So I think that versus Brent, I don't know who's looking out for him anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
How about Marcelo?
I think.
See, I think
B.
Yeah, I was gonna give it a B.
Yeah,
nothing really going on with him, but he's in a good position where no one's after him at this point.
Like, I think he's right now he's in a good spot with Jacob, and I think naturally with Jacob comes Muna.
Yes,
but I think the only negative for him right now is that he took Josh out, and I don't know if Josh is on good footing with him.
Yeah,
but I think he's in a good spot right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
How do we feel about Muna?
I would give it A.
Yeah,
I was gonna say an A because I think she's just as I think she's in a good position like Jacob, but Jacob's in an even like he just has like Muna. I think is good with the Jacob side, and maybe Marcelo side or whatever. But like the other side, I think people are still a little worried about her, that she might come up, so she's not as safe. But like Jacob, I swear, Jacob just everyone's just like, oh. Jacob, like love, whatever. So like,
and I think Jacob,
I
think if Jacob was writing as hard for Muna as Muna was writing for Jacob, I think I would move her up, but he's not. So I think that I want to see how it plays out, but that is the reason why I think for me she's I agree an A.
Yeah, definitely an A. And she played some good moves when she was like approached and stuff. So I'll give an A for that. Yeah.
And she brought in Rachel, which I thought was a really just like good, even if it wasn't a game move, which obviously everything's a game move, but like I thought it was a good like personal just moment.
Yeah.
Well.
Exactly. Yes, exactly.
And naturally, I think strictly because Jay West left, I think people are going to look at that confrontation her and him had, and they're going to be like, "Yeah, we don't want to cross Muna now."
Yeah,
exactly.
President.
Would you put her over Billy and Brendan, or would you keep her?
Yeah. She's number one in that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Natalie, I don't really remember much about Natalie. She didn't do much this episode.
She had the worst edit.
I know. Purple
like
Natalie.
But what was negative about her? What was negative was that she didn't have a conversation with Billy. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I'm wondering, did she have conversations with people, or was she just like there?
Yeah. Like I'll put her at the bottom of C strictly based off of that.
I would probably I was gonna say D only because did she make any moves to keep herself safe or whatever? But no, you know what? I wouldn't put a D because C is good because it's just like this floater kind of level. Yeah. Whereas if it was a D, it would be like she made a move that was really bad to her game and hence she's down here. So I think I like
you're actively tanking your own game.
Yeah, and I think no one's coming for her, even though she doesn't have allies or didn't make a big move. So I think that.
Yeah, no, I think this is a good position actually. Yeah, D, definitely not D because she hasn't done anything to detriment her game. Yes, I agree.
Okay, we got Rachel.
I'm gonna give it a C as well for Rachel.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are we putting mid or over Katie?
No, second place, I think. I would, I don't know if you guys think otherwise.
No, I agree. I think she did, a few things.
The only reason why I would put her above Katie is because Rachel isn't a target, and a lot of people want to work with her, whereas Katie is a target, and people are looking at her.
That's a good
That's a good point.
But I'm fine with either way.
But Katie has more ally, like straight up ally. So I think I think she's a better way of getting out of it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Agreed.
How do we feel about Sharon's game?
I'll give her an A.
Yeah, I think A, lowest B, but that's it. Yeah.
High B.
High B. Yeah, exactly.
But I'll give the A just because there was some slight moves that she did that actually twisted some stuff in the game, like the LOS thing. Put the target on Josh's back, and then her like trying to like flip it was like, oh, now Josh is on my side, and also I'm on all these other people's sides because they know they can talk to me and I'm really chill. And she just kind of swung under the radar, and then she had that move where she was just like, well, they just told me to do this, so here you go. So there's this huge target off her back, and her social game is on point for sure.
And she didn't get caught doing all of
that. Nothing. She literally sat on a couch in the back.
Yeah.
And people were coming to talk to her. Like, she's like, whatever, like, just come to me. Second Messiah 2.0.
I wish we could have seen this Shireen on Survivor. I think that because I remember her story on Survivor was that she came from a white collar background, and because she worked at Google, and then she kind of was taking up and in the middle of a no collar attitude. And I think that because now she plays poker and does all that stuff, and she seems really different from how she was when she was on. So I'm excited to see how she plays this season. And honestly, I'd like to see her on Survivor again. Like,
Survivor her edit was also really awful. And I think I've either heard her say this, I can't exactly remember, but that there was a lot of issues about like other players like kind of targeting her for just being different. And this is why I want to commend Sequester, where like real diversity means like folks like this get to shine, especially I think her, because we've seen her on another show and she got this like, I don't know what, like the outsider edit. Like, I think that's maybe the nice way to say it on Survivor. But here, I think she's really able to shine because she isn't with these like archetype white people, right? That like kind of just bond with each other. So no, I agree with you, Dylan. And it's almost like I think there's that layer that we just missed because of so many reasons.
She's just got that super chill vibe, like people just want to work with her and they know her really well too. So it's like, she's just not an inside. She's not an outsider at this time.
Yes.
Around.
Outsider is like the perfect word, Sasha, because she was edited that entire season, and even in Second Chances, she was edited as an outsider, as someone that just didn't fit in. And I didn't really get that energy from her, that she would be someone that you wouldn't want to. I would love to hang out with her.
Yeah, same. She seems super chill. Like,
but she also was on a season with Rodney and Dan and so many disgusting people that like
Will.
Maybe it was better that she was an outsider. She didn't fit in with that.
Exactly.
Yeah, 100%. And because didn't they have the auction and where she let folks like eat fruit off of her? Was that Sharon or someone else? Now I'm getting confused. Yeah, so to me, like, she's always been benevolent and like loving. Because I think in the auction she put her, like, she stored food for later, basically peanut butter. So I think she's always kind of been this kind of altruistic person. But again, here we are, CBS.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree.
So that leaves us with Spencer.
How do we feel about Spencer?
I think he's kind of just floating in the middle now. Like, I think maybe I'll give him a B just because, like, I don't want to give him a C because I don't think his game is in trouble.
Right.
I would give him like a B just because, and I'll give him the low B just because he's just kind of floating there in the middle. I don't think he really did anything to make his game better. I don't think he made anything to make it worse. He did talk. He has good allies because he has like Katie and he has Brendan. Like, he has all those people. But like, I think a low B. Like, I think he's just kind of sitting in the middle there. Like, he's not floater level because of those connections, but I don't think he's done anything outstanding to make him an A.
Yeah.
Like, I think almost. Oh, go ahead, Sasha.
Go ahead. No. Go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, I do think that at one point he was doing really good when he was building that connection with Jacob, but then I think when he brought Rachel and Natalie and Jacob in the room, and then he basically said, me and Jacob, like, we had an agreement. It makes Jacob look shady then, and then Jacob was like, okay, what are you really trying to do here? So I think that definitely rubbed Jacob the way, and it's going to give that impression.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, I forgot what I was going to say anyway. But yeah, I think, I remember now. I think
I froze. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine.
All right.
It's all right. It's free for you.
Yeah, the only other thing I would say about his game is that I'm not his game, sorry, this parent tier in general, is that I believe that next week it is going to look completely different.
Yes.
Like, I don't know that it's going to stay the same.
No.
Yeah, I think some stuff is going to blow up.
Right.
And who knows what the challenge is or the twist is. Like, that's what the one thing I really like about Sequester is that, like, the twist just like wreck everything. Like, in 1 minute you're like doing all these twists that you're in a good position, and then you have this one twist where it's like, oh my god, everything is messed up and everything has just blown up and my allegiances are nothing right now. You know? So it's just like, it could change constantly.
Yeah, agreed. And that's why I'm really excited for next week in Sequester.
I know, same.
Okay, well, thank you everybody for watching the first Silent Sequester podcast. Thank you for putting up with my constant horrible connection. But also big thank you to Sasha and Dylan and Chanel for coming here. I had a really good time, and I'm looking forward to the second one. But for now, that is all from us, and have a good day, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.